O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in Vedic mantras. I am the sound in ether and ability in man. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. This verse explains how the Lord is all-pervasive by His diverse material and spiritual energies. The Supreme Lord can be preliminarily perceived by His different energies. And in this way, He is realized impersonally. As the demigod in the sun is a person and is perceived by his all-pervading energy, as the demigod in the sun is a person and is perceived by his all-pervading energy, the sunshine. So the Lord, although in his eternal abode, is perceived by his all-pervading diffusive energies. The taste of water is the active principle of water. No one likes to drink seawater because the pure taste of water is mixed with salt. Attraction for water depends on the purity of the taste, and this pure taste is one of the energies of the Lord. The impersonalist perceives the presence of the Lord in water by its taste. And personalist also glorifies the Lord for his kindly supplying tasty water to quench man's thirst. That is the way of perceiving the Supreme Personality, the Supreme. Practically speaking, there is no conflict between personalism and impersonalism. One who knows God knows that the impersonal conception and the personal conception are simultaneously present in everything, and that there is no contradiction. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya exhibited his sublime doctrine, Achintya, Veda, and Aveda Tattva, simultaneous and inconceivably oneness and difference. The light of the sun and the moon is also originally emanating from the Brahmajyoti, which is the impersonal effulgence of the Lord. And Pranava, or the Omkara, transcendental sound, in the beginning of every Vedic hymn, addresses the Supreme Lord. Because the impersonalists are very much afraid of addressing the Supreme Lord Krishna by his innumerable names, they prefer to vibrate the transcendental sound Omkara. But they do not realize that Omkara is the sound representation of Krishna. The jurisdiction of Krishna consciousness extends everywhere. And one who knows Krishna consciousness is blessed. Those who do not know Krishna are in illusion, and so knowledge of Krishna is liberation, and ignorance of him is bondage. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We're reading from the Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, and 8th verse, which says, Rasaham Apsukonteya, Pravasmi Sasisurai, Anava Savavedesu, Sabda Ke Purusham Visu. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound and ether and ability in man. This is a very, very nice verse. and it has a lot of deep meanings to it. Above all, a very interesting statement and purport is that one who knows God knows that the impersonal conception and personal conception are simultaneously present in everything, and that there is no contradiction. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya established his sublime doctrine, Achintya, Veda, and Aveda Tattva, simultaneous oneness and difference. The light of the sun and the moon is also originally emanating from the Brahma Jyoti, which is the impersonal effulgence of the Lord. And pranava, or the Omkara transcendental sound in the beginning of every Vedic hymn, addresses the Supreme Lord. Because the impersonalists are very much afraid of addressing the Supreme Lord Krishna by his innumerable names, they prefer to vibrate the transcendental sound Omkara. But they do not realize that Omkara is the sound representation of Krishna. The jurisdiction of Krishna consciousness extends everywhere, and one who knows Krishna consciousness is blessed. Those who do not know Krishna are in illusion, and so knowledge of Krishna is liberation, and ignorance of Krishna is bondage. Now, why does it say the impersonalists are very much afraid of addressing the Supreme Lord Krishna by his innumerable names? They prefer to vibrate the transcendental sound Omkara. Well, it's because the impersonalists think there's only one reality, and that's called Brahman. And then all the living entities are illusory. And therefore, they engage in different types of meditation to deny their individuality in order to merge into the oneness of Brahman, which is a type of suicide. Because you have to deny your individuality in order to attain this oneness with the Brahman. So, therefore, they don't like to say the names of Krishna. Krishna has so many names. Why? It says here, because the impersonalists are very much afraid of addressing the Supreme Lord Krishna by his innumerable names, they prefer to vibrate the transcendental sound Omkara. But they do not realize that Omkara is the sound representation of Krishna. In other words, the impersonalists do not accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, they are what you would call the original, what you call the original cancel culture people. They cancel everything. Krishna, the material world, the spiritual world, individuality, jivas, everything. They just cancel everything. So they are the original cancel culture people. And what is their ultimate goal? That's to deny their own individuality and merge into so-called light or the Brahma Jyoti. Because of that, They put themselves in an artificial position, and eventually they fall down from their oneness with uh, the Brahmajyoti, and they take up again their identity as a person. So that's because they don't understand who Krishna is. They only have an impersonal conception. And the impersonal conception is not sustainable because everyone is a unique person. You can artificially deny you're a person, but you can't maintain it eternally. So that's why Lord Chaitanya established the sublime doctrine called Achintya Beda Abheda Tattva, simultaneous and inconceivable oneness and difference. Now, what does that mean? That means that everything in the material world is simultaneously one and different. So, this is very difficult for people to understand. People can understand oneness, people can understand difference. What's simultaneous and incomplete, inconceivable oneness and difference, they fall down. They can't deal with it. But in Krishna consciousness, we understand that in all situations there is simultaneous and inconceivable oneness and difference. So what's an example of that? Well, when Krishna appears as a young boy or a baby even, that completely confuses the Maya bodies. they can't accept that God appears as a baby and then grows up and never gets old and never loses his individuality. He has eternal individuality. All that is beyond their ability to understand. However, here it says, one who knows God knows that the impersonal conception and personal conception are simultaneously present in everything, and that there is no contradiction. And this is something that the Mayavadis don't understand. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya established a sublime doctrine, Achintya Beda and Abheda Tattva, which means inconceivable oneness and difference. So, for example, Krishna is one, but he can manifest many, many different expansions of himself. So he's both one and different. Everyone can understand oneness. Everyone can understand difference. What they can't understand is simultaneous and inconceivable oneness and difference. But that is the philosophy of Lord Chaitanya. So therefore it says, the light of the sun and the moon is also originally emanating from the Brahmajyoti, which is the impersonal effulgence of the Lord. And pranava, or the Omkara, transcendental sound, in the beginning of every Vedic hymn, addresses the Supreme Lord. Because the impersonalists are very much afraid of addressing the Supreme Lord Krishna, by his innumerable names, they prefer to vibrate the transcendental sound Omkara. But they do not realize that Omkara is the sound representation of Krishna. The jurisdiction of Krishna consciousness extends everywhere. And one who knows Krishna consciousness is blessed. Those who do not know Krishna are in illusion. And so knowledge of Krishna is liberation, and ignorance of him is bondage. Well, that is our main takeaway today. Knowledge of Krishna is liberation, and ignorance of Krishna is bondage. So that's why every day we're reading Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam to understand who Krishna is. Because knowledge of Krishna leads to liberation, and ignorance of Krishna leads to bondage. We should never forget that. Most people, I would say, at least 99.90 people in the world are ignorant of Krishna. They don't understand who he is. Therefore, they're stuck in the process of birth and death. Only a devotee who has been instructed by a bona fide spiritual master, like Prabhupada, and who is practicing Krishna consciousness, according to Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, only those persons have the ability to understand who Krishna is, and also the ability to go back to Godhead. All other people do not have that facility because they don't have complete knowledge of Krishna. They might have no knowledge of Krishna, or they might have some knowledge of Krishna. But that's not enough. That's not enough. You have to have all knowledge of Krishna, or at least as far as a human being is able to understand Krishna. But the best way to understand Krishna is by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
That's the best way. The chanting of Hare Krishna means that you're in direct contact with Krishna, because Krishna and his holy name are non-different. That's the meaning of absolute. Krishna is absolutely one. And he's one with his name. So when you chant the name of Krishna, you're directly associating with Krishna. And I'm trying to find something. 1 second. Yeah, and Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, and verse number 7. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. That is a beautiful verse. So when you get a necklace of pearls, they look like they're together because there's a thin string that holds them together. But if there was no string, they would just spread all over the place. So what is that string? That string as a holds all the pearls together. So in the same way, the whole world is functioning because of the presence of Krishna. Without Krishna, everything would just become chaos. But you see, the world as it functions today is not chaotic. There's spring, and then there's summer, then there's fall, and there's winter. It doesn't stop. It just keeps going on and on and on like that. Why? Because of the presence of Krishna. If there was no Krishna, everything would be chaotic. But because Krishna is present everywhere in the material world, you have the ability to have science. That means that if there was not Krishna, there would be no possibility of predictions. There'd be chaos. So you could not have science. There'd be no science if Krishna was not present. He's the thread. He's holding everything together in the material world. He's present in the heart of every living entity. He's present in the heart of all living entities. And he's present in everything material. So because of that, there is predictability. Why? Because Krishna is controlling everything. If there is no Krishna, then you wouldn't be able to control. You would not be able to have any coherent way of understanding nature. Today we can understand nature because the different periods of nature come in predictable ways. They come and they go. In fact, there are many, many different cycles in nature that are all predictable. That's because of Krishna. If there was no Krishna, then nothing would be predictable. Everything would be chaotic. And there wouldn't be any possibility of science because there would be no predictability. So the fact that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the controller of everything, that means that you can predict things. You can know approximately when winter starts and stops and is replaced by spring. And then spring starts and stops and there's summer. And then summer stops and there is fall, and then fall stops, and then there's winter, and so forth. All of those periods are predictable because Krishna is controlling everything. Without the presence of Krishna, nothing would be predictable, so therefore there would be no question of science. Science is able to be predictable because Krishna is present. Without Krishna, nothing would be predictable. There would not be science. Everything would be chaotic. And therefore, in this verse today, it says, chapter 7, verse number 7. O conqueror of wealth, that's referring to Dhananjaya or Arjuna. Another name of Arjuna is Dhananjaya, the conqueror of wealth. There's no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. But that's really very profound statement. If you get a number of pearls and you string them You put them on a string and then tie the string, they stay together. But if you don't have a string, they'll go everywhere. So, what is the string? The string is Krishna. He's the one that's holding everything together. He's the one that's controlling everything, including the planets. If it wasn't for Krishna, all the planets would go, haphazardly everywhere. One thing people don't realize, the planets are in specific orbits, and those orbits are predictable. You know how big the planets are. They're huge. And they're all staying in their orbits. How is that possible? Who set that up? Krishna. Without Krishna, the planets would not stay in their orbits. And their orbits are so perfect that they're predictable. You see. So that predictability gives the ability to have science. But if everything was chaotic, there would be no science. But who is controlling all this? Krishna. The scientists are not controlling all this predictability. They just see it, but they're not controlling it. So once you realize these things, then you begin to have great faith and love for Krishna. And you understand how powerful it is. So it says that, O conqueror of wealth, referring to Arjuna, there's no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Yeah, now you don't see the thread, but without the thread, the pearls would just scatter haphazardly. So that thread is Krishna in everything in the world. He is present in the heart of every living entity. He's present in every atom of the universe. Just imagine how many times he's multiplied himself to be present in every atom of the universe. There are trillions and trillions of atoms, and he's present in everyone. When you begin to think about these things, you begin to understand how great Krishna is. We can never really measure how great he is, but we get an idea how great he is. Most people never think about this. They just go along their merry lives in ignorance. They don't understand the greatness of Krishna. And because of that, when they die, they stay in the material world. Once you really begin to understand the greatness of Krishna, then you become a real devotee. And you always have Krishna in your mind, on your lips, and you're always being hearing about Krishna every day, so that at the moment of death, you can remember Krishna and go back to God. No one is equal to or greater than Krishna. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he controls everything. Your breathing, your heartbeat, the sun coming up, and then the sun going down, and all the stars and the planets in orbits that are perfectly synchronized. When you start to think about these things, you suddenly realize, my God, but who's controlling all these things? It's certainly no human being, right? It's Krishna. It has to be. Otherwise, everything would be chaotic. That's why it says in the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna, Satchit Ananda Vigraha. The Supreme Absolute Truth personality of Godhead is Lord Krishna, who is the primeval Lord, the reservoir of all pleasure, Govinda, and the eternal form of complete bliss and knowledge. So Ishvara means the Supreme Lord, and Krishna means also, Ishvara means the Supreme Controller, and Krishna is the name of the Supreme Controller. And Sat Chit Ananda is eternal, he's full of all knowledge and all transcendental bliss in his transcendental body, Vigraha. So that is the supreme absolute truth, personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, who is the primeval Lord, meaning he existed before the creation, he organized the creation, and he will eventually destroy the creation. But he will always be existent. So he's the reservoir of all pleasure also. And he's also referred to as Govinda, the cowherd boy. He loves cows. And the eternal form of complete bliss and knowledge. So Prabhupada says, these authorities leave no doubt that the absolute truth is the supreme person, the cause of all causes. Yeah, Krishna is the cause of all causes. And in the Sritasvatana Upanishad, it said, in the material world, Brahma, the primeval living entity within the universe, is understood to be the supreme amongst demigods, human beings, and lower animals. But beyond Brahma, there is a transcendence who has no material form. That means he doesn't have a material form, but has a spiritual form. And is free from all material contaminations. Anyone who can know him, meaning Krishna, also becomes transcendental. But those who do not know him suffer the miseries of the material world. So now we know why people suffer. They don't have any knowledge of Krishna. If you have knowledge of Krishna, then you will not suffer. You'll be very happy. Because you know who is controlling everything. Therefore, you have no doubts. But if you have no knowledge of Krishna, then you'll have plenty of doubts and fear and confusion in your life. Right? You'll not be able to have a peaceful life. You'll always be under the 8 ball. You know what the 8 ball is? It's in the pool. You play pool. Right? It's the 8 ball. So when you're under the 8 ball, it means you're really in trouble. Okay, so Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha. The supreme absolute truth personality of Godhead is Lord Krishna, who is the primeval Lord, the reservoir of all pleasure, Govinda, and the eternal form of complete bliss and knowledge. These authorities leave no doubt that the absolute truth is the supreme person, the cause of all causes. Okay, so these are all descriptions of Krishna. He's the cause of all causes. He's the supreme person. He is the absolute truth. So when you understand these things, then you're not at all ever in doubt. But when you don't understand these things, you easily become doubtful of things in the world. And sometimes people become so doubtful they commit suicide. They don't see how they can be happy. But if you have knowledge of Krishna, you never commit suicide. In fact, there was just one devotee of Lord Chaitanya who was going to commit suicide. And Lord Chaitanya stopped him and said, "You can't commit suicide." And the person said, "Why?" He said, "Because there are many things that I want to do through your body. So how will you be able to do those things if you commit suicide?" Now, that's a very, let's say, profound statement that Lord Chaitanya made. He said, "I have to do many things through your body, but if you commit suicide, I can do it." So every one of us has a purpose in life. And as we get older, that purpose in life is revealed to us by Krishna. However, people who are atheistic and who have bad habits, eating meat, gambling, illicit sex, intoxication, they never learn what they really meant to do in life because they're too busy in engaging in sense gratification. They can't hear Krishna, they can't see Krishna, they can't in any way come in contact with Krishna because of their blunt ignorance. And therefore, they never attain any real peace or knowledge in life. And that's basically the life of confusion. Like most teenagers are confused. Not only teenagers, most people, adults, are confused also. They're not sure about what's going to happen. And because of that, they have to take drugs to calm their mind. At least 1/3 of the population in the United States are taking drugs to calm their mind because they can't go to sleep. There's so much anxiety because they have no relationship with Krishna. They have a relationship with their drugs. Yeah, that's what happens when you don't have a relationship with Krishna. You end up like a drug addict. Okay, so that is the main takeaway of this verse today, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, and verse number 7 says, "O conqueror of wealth," meaning Dhananjaya or Arjuna, "there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread." So this is Krishna telling Arjuna who he is, and he's giving him some information of who he is. Right? And therefore it says, "Vedaham itam purusham aham tam adityavanam tamasa parasta tam eva viditpati mutyum iti nanya panta vidite yanaya," and so forth. "I know the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all material conceptions of darkness. Only he who knows him can transcend the bonds of birth and death. There's no way for liberation other than this knowledge of the Supreme Person. There is no truth superior to that Supreme Person because he is the supermost. He is smaller than the smallest, and he is greater than the greatest. He is situated as a silent tree, and he illumines the transcendental sky And as a tree spreads its roots, he spreads his extensive energies, meaning everywhere. From these verses, one concludes that the Supreme Absolute Truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is all-pervading by his multi-energies, both material and spiritual. Yeah. He has both material and spiritual energies. That's why he's God. So if you learn just these two verses, Vedaham etam purusham ahantam, and yasmat param na param asti kinchit. I know the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all material conceptions of darkness. Only he who knows him can transcend the bonds of birth and death. There is no way for liberation other than this knowledge of that Supreme Person. So you see, what people are learning today in schools is all junk or gunk. It's junk and gunk. Why? Because it's not going to help them at the moment of death. They'll be just completely confused. They don't know what to do. But if you just learn these two verses, Vidham itam purusham ahantam, and yasmat param na param asti kinchit, then you have all knowledge. And it says, I know the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is transcendental to all material conceptions of darkness. Only he who knows him, meaning Krishna, can transcend the bonds of birth and death. There is no way for liberation other than this knowledge of that Supreme Person. So this is the most important knowledge of Krishna. There is no truth superior to that Supreme Person, because he is the supermost. He is smaller than the smallest, and he is greater than the greatest. He is situated as a silent tree, and he illumines the transcendental sky. As a tree spreads its roots, he spreads his extensive energies. From these verses, one concludes that the Supreme Absolute Truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who is all-pervading, meaning he's present in everyone's heart, and he's present everywhere. By his multi-energies, both material and spiritual, he has all energies, all material energies, all spiritual energies. So if you just learn these two verses in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, and verses 7 and 8, you have all knowledge, and you'll be able to, that's enough to become free from the cycle of birth. Are there any questions? Okay, we're almost finished. We'll just read one more verse. Rasaham apsukonteya pravasmi sasisurayo pranavasavavedesu sabdeke purusham vishu. It's a beautiful verse, very poetic. O son of Kunti, I am the taste of water, the light of the sun and the moon, the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras. I am the sound of ether and ability of man. So no one can say, oh, I've never seen God. No. If you see the light of the sun, you're seeing God. If you taste water, you're seeing God. So one time, one devotee, he read this, and he was with Prabhupada, and he said to Prabhupada, he said, well, when Krishna says, I'm the taste of water, But water doesn't have a taste. And Prabhupada says, what do you know? You don't know anything. And what's the taste of water? And Prabhupada said, minerals. If you drink water that has no minerals, that has no taste. But when you drink water, natural water that has minerals in it, it has a taste. So this devotee said, well, what's the taste of the water? And Prabhupada says, it's the minerals. That's Krishna. You take the minerals out of water, it has no taste at all. But if you have, like for example, Evian water, it has minerals in it. That's why it has a good taste. So that taste of the water, that's Krishna. In other words, Krishna is present everywhere. And he's smaller than the smallest, and he's greater than the greatest. And when it says he's situated as a silent tree, that means that he's present in your heart. And if you're completely ignorant of his presence in your heart, then it's like having a silent tree. But if you become Krishna conscious, then you can actually hear Krishna and smell Krishna and taste Krishna. He's the closest person to you. He's right in your heart. Okay, so from these verses, one concludes that the supreme absolute truth is the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna, who is all pervading by his multi-energies, both material and spiritual. So when we're reading Bhagavad Gita, basically we're going to learn everything about Krishna, or everything that's humanly possible to know about Krishna. The whole Bhagavad Gita is only about Krishna. There's no other, it doesn't mix other themes in this book. But because Krishna is everything, if you read Bhagavad Gita carefully with the help of devotees, or even better, hear Bhagavad Gita spoken by genuine devotees, then you know everything. So one time, one devotee asked Prabhupada, said, when it says that you know everything in Krishna consciousness, but we don't know, differential equations. And Prabhupada says, no, it's you know everything that your guru knows. So what does the guru know? The guru knows everything about Krishna. So to know, differential equations or calculus and things like that, that's not going to save you at the moment of death. At the moment of death, you can, write calculus on the board. That's not going to help you. But if you know Krishna at the moment of death, you'll be liberated. You see. So you have to always think that there are different levels of knowledge. Okay, so a mechanic has a certain level of knowledge. Like if I open the hood of my car and I look at the engine, I don't understand anything. Right? It's like spaghetti, But the mechanic, he understands everything about the motor. So in the same way, without knowledge of Krishna, we're completely ignorant. We go through our whole life being ignorant and spending our whole life in mundane activities, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending like an animal. So what's the difference between an animal and a human being? Well, human beings, there are human beings that only eat, sleep, mate, and defend. So they're no better than animals. But what differentiates a person from being an animal or a human being from being an animal is that, okay, he eats, he sleeps, he mates and defends, but he also has knowledge of Krishna. He has knowledge of his relationship with God. Then he's no longer an animal, he's a devotee. So, this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, let's get another thing straight. Bhagavad Gita is Krishna. It's all about Krishna. And Bhagavad Gita is non-different than Krishna. This one book has all knowledge about Krishna. So, if we never read any other book, we just read Bhagavad Gita, or better than reading it, hear it spoken by genuine devotees, we have all knowledge. When we say all knowledge that's necessary to be liberated from birth and death. So, we should take this seriously. This is by the way, Bhagavad Gita is the oldest book in the history of the world. No other book is old as Bhagavad Gita because it was first spoken by Krishna to the sun god, Vivaswan, in the beginning of time, billions of years ago. And the last time it was spoken was 5,000 years ago. Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. So this is the oldest book in the world. It's not 5,000 years old, it's billions of years old. And it was also spoken 5,000 years old. And Krishna spoke it to Arjuna, and that's what we're reading today. We don't understand how powerful this Bhagavad Gita is. We don't really understand it. This is not an ordinary book. Most books, ordinary books, they're a bunch of junk. The books that people read, they're just junk. This is a waste of time reading those books. But Bhagavad Gita, even one sentence in Bhagavad Gita can liberate you from the cycle of birth and death. That's how powerful this Bhagavad Gita is. If we realize that, then we become educated. If we don't realize that, we just remain ignorant our whole life. And most people, 99.9% of people in the world today are ignorant because they don't know Bhagavad Gita as it is. That's a lot of ignorance. It's too much ignorance. So, well, someone said, well, everybody's ignorant. I may as well be ignorant also because they're in the majority. Yeah, one time there was this preacher, and he was preaching to some boy, but some man. And he said that anyone who drinks liquor is going to hell. And the boy said, well, my father drinks liquor. Well, he's in hell. And he said, but my uncle also drinks liquor. He's in hell also. He said, but my cousins drink liquor. They're also in hell, he said. And then the boy said, well, I may as well go to hell. The whole family is there. Yeah. But that's the way ignorant people are. They think, well, all my relatives, they're all in hell. Maybe I should go there too, They're my relatives. But no, that's not a good conclusion. Okay, we're finished. We're about finished. Are any questions? Any questions anybody has? If you don't have a question, that means you are brain dead. You know what it means to be brain dead? It means you have no questions. There should be millions of questions. So many things we don't know. Anyway, are there any questions? Okay, well, no questions, no answers. That means you didn't learn anything tonight. If you had a
Hare,
question,
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
yes.
Regarding Krishna's greatness, how like, we can never comprehend that, neither we can understand how supreme he is. Is it like should we? Is it about understanding how insignificant we are, or like when we read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam? So our focus, I'm like, should we understand that how insignificant we are? It naturally comes that way only. Is it okay understanding? More I see the nature, and I understand, my understanding is coming out like how insignificant I am.
No, the whole purpose of spiritual life is to be educated to know Krishna as much as is humanly possible. That means that you're a real human being, you're not an animal anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But every day we have in class, and if you can understand even one thing, every day you become educated in Krishna consciousness. Like today, what is one thing that we should learn? It is, Krishna says, there's no truth superior to me. That's a huge statement. There's so many so-called truths in the world, but Krishna says there's no truth superior to me. Well, we should accept the statement that Krishna is the highest truth. You know Krishna, you know everything.
Maharaj.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
So one question is you were talking, you said something in today's class like people don't realize how precise the planets are in their orbits, right?
Yes.
You made that. So is that, is that why I heard that Srila Prabhupada wanted this TOVP planetarium built in Mayapur to show the Vedic kind of like planetary system? Is that, are they going to do something to show that how, I guess, elaborate the whole thing? I mean, is that what Prabhupada wanted to convey in that planetarium, or what was his wish behind that?
Yeah, he mentioned that. He definitely mentioned that. He wanted to have a facsimile of the planetary organization in the TOVP, or the big temple that's being built right now. And there'll be different steps you can go up and see, the material world, and you see the spiritual world. You go step by step with different levels of the material world, like there's hell, and then there's other places, and then there's the spiritual world. There's many different places. So he wanted all that to be demonstrated in this temple that's being built now, so that you can have a visual context of the material world and the spiritual world, starting from hell, going all the way up to Vaikuntha. So it's a big challenge for the devotees, but they're working on it now, and they'll finish in about another 4 years.
Thank you.
Haribol. Any other questions? Okay, no questions, no answers. You should have 100 questions. So many questions. I mean, if you have no questions, it means either you know everything or you know nothing. Yeah.
One question on the 7.8.
Yeah.
Where Krishna says, I am the taste of water or the light of the sun. But these are all material things.
Yeah.
Krishna is not, but Krishna is saying, I am the taste of water or the light of the sun. But light is made of matter. But Krishna is not matter. Krishna is spiritual, right? So how to understand this? If Krishna says, I am the light of a sun, but light is material. And taste is also material.
The sun is originally, it's the light emanating from the body of Krishna. So it's spiritual. It's not material. Where's the light of the sun coming from? Yeah, from Krishna's body. It's the effulgence of Krishna's. It's Brahmajyoti, right? That's what the light of the sun is. It's coming originally from the Brahmajyoti. Yeah, and then what else is it say?
Taste of water.
What?
Taste of water.
That question was asked by to Prabhupada. The devotee said, well, what's the taste of water? And Prabhupada said, it is the minerals in the water. And they said, the minerals in the water. He said, yeah, and that's Krishna. That's what's giving the taste to the water. So if you have water that has been boiled and all the minerals are taken out, it has no taste at all. You wouldn't enjoy drinking that. But when you have like water from a spring, it's very tasty. And you can feel the energy. And there are some places in the Seattle area you can go and get spring water. And people go, and it's free because they're natural springs. And you can get that spring water. It's very good. It's much better than the tap water. Why? Because it has minerals coming from the earth. Just like Evian water. They actually put minerals in it, so it has a taste. If you look at the Evian water or other types of waters that are being sold, they put minerals in the water, so it has a taste. If you drink water that has been evaporated, right, and then you drink that water, it has no taste. Yeah. So once the devotees were talking about water, and they said, well, what does that mean? When Krishna says, I am the taste of the water. Right? He said today, he said, Oh Sarakanti, I'm the taste of water. Well, it means that so Prabhupada was asked the question, what does it mean? It says, I'm the taste of water. And Prabhupada said, well, it's the minerals that are in the water. That's the taste of the water. So when you get water from a natural spring, it tastes much better than tap water. Actually, one time though, when Prabhupada came in Paris, and we gave him a bottle of Evian water. And he said, "What is this?" We said, "It's Evian water. It's very famous." He said, "I don't want this." And we were, so why not? He said, "Because I want water from the tap. I want running water. This is stale water. It's stuck in that bottle for who knows how long." Right? He said, "I want the running water." Yeah, he was right also. The tap water is running water, right? The water in the bottle is stale. You don't know how long it's been in the bottle. Right? And it's not, there's no, what you would call oxygen. So, yeah, you need tap water. Okay, I think we'll stop there unless anyone has a question. Got a question?
They wanted to have a separate question. Not online. But not about the topic, I think. They wanted to speak with you.
Okay.
So any other questions online? If not, we'll end the session today.